I want what Jim has. Well, this is the phrase 17-year-old Alan, my husband, uttered as he made one of his first moves into the Christian life. I have always loved hearing Alan share about the first time he went forward in a church to receive Christ. I've heard this story multiple times, and I'm always struck by how simple and heartfelt Alan's desire was. We're going to talk more about this today. I'm Jem Fadling, and it's time for I Can Do That. Well, back to Alan's teenage response to God. Notice that a person's name showed up in Alan's desire. The name was Jim. Jim was Alan's boss at the Magic Tunnel Car Wash. Yes, it was the 70s, and he had a vibrant relationship with Jesus. So much so that it punctured through Alan's rough and tumble teenage heart. At 17, Alan was going through a very low point in his life. To say that he was wayward would not be far off the mark. Teenage angst mixed with alcohol and depression colored his days. But Jim stood out to Alan. Jim was buoyant, and he loved people, and he loved his life. And he cared for Alan, who was his employee, with a servant heart. According to Alan, Jim was there to bless people, and it had nothing to do with Jim communicating some compelling message that Alan was convinced by. It was the quality of Jim's life that impressed Alan. Jim was kind and joyful, and Alan wanted to be like that. And that's a big part of the gospel, isn't it? God's life shining through our life, not by words or methods necessarily, but it was the quality of Jim's life. It was his way. Now, obviously, you don't have to be joyful and buoyant all the time, but you can be you, and you can extend the goodness of you to others. But not in an under duress, you've got to be perfect kind of way. No, just real, humble, offered. My way must match my words. And Jim's way was so compelling that it was all Alan could reference when someone asked him, "Why did you come forward?" And Alan replied, "I want what Jim has." Now, I've shared this quote before, and I'm positive I will share it again in the future because I think Dallas Willard was really onto something here. Here's what he said. All the church needs to fulfill Christ's purpose on earth is the quality of life he makes real in the life of his disciples. Do you hear that? The quality of my life, the quality of your life matters a great deal. This is one of the heartbeats of unhurried living. It's of vital importance that we make time and space to engage the process of our own lives as a disciple or an apprenticed one. It is from this central relationship with Jesus that our influence emerges and overflows, and this process cannot be underestimated. Our formation matters because that's what we share with other people. So a great question here is this: do you desire to rely on Jesus as your model as you learn to love and serve others with gladness and singleness of heart? If you say yes to this, then you are on a journey of transformation, and your way will be changed over time. You will become more like Jesus. And this is what Alan saw in Jim, the likeness of Jesus, joyful, servant-hearted, and there to bless. Spiritual formation isn't really anything mysterious. It's simply cooperating with the transforming process initiated by a loving God. And this happens in many and various ways through scripture, spiritual practices, spiritual direction, teaching. You're also being formed by conversations and music and art and nature. And God reveals himself in all kinds of ways. So here's your question. Are you open? Blessings to you as you consider your impact on those around you. And here's your I Can Do That for this week. Now let's rein all this back into where we began with Alan uttering a simple phrase, I want what Jim has. First, is there someone in your life who models the ways of Jesus for you? Spend some time thinking or journaling and ask these questions. What about them is compelling? How did they get where they are, the trials and the triumphs? And how might you share with them how they've impacted you? Second, how is your way influencing others? Again, spend some time thinking or journaling. How does your life recommend your message? How did you get where you are? Reflect on your process. And what adjustments might you make to increase the importance of your way? And remember, you're making your way forward, one small, simple, and gracious step at a time.